All right, to finish up our jumping exquisite corpse, we have our different layers, and I've just finished putting these pants onto this guy, and now I'm trying to figure out the head of this one. So I have it at about 50% opacity. I can zoom in. I'm getting good at selecting my layers. I can use the move tool and move it around. And I think I want to line up that eye. I can also use my arrow keys to kind of what's called nudge it. And then I can hit Command T and I can play with the rotation and the scale of it. Looking at the neckline. And because we shot them all in the same background at the same time of day, the lighting should be similar. But the problem I have is that I have two different cameras here, and so the exposures have slightly different color priorities. Okay, and then I take it to 100%, and I see the head there. And then I decide, well, how much do I want of it? And I don't want much. I'm going to select it with the lasso tool, still on this top layer that I'm only viewing at 66%. And I'm going to do a rough selection of it, a rough cut like that, selecting around it. And then I'm going to do something we haven't done yet. This is, instead of erasing everything away, I'm going to duplicate what I want. So I've selected not the stuff I want to erase like I did with the legs before, but I just selected around the head with a lot of extra space, and I'm going to duplicate that selection by hitting Command J. It's like copy paste, but it will put it exactly in the same spot on a new layer, like so. Take it up to 100%, and that allows me to see it a little bit more clearly, and maybe rotate it. Even though the bricks won't match that way, I can get the head position where I want it. Transform its size, put it on those shoulders. Line those shoulders up. There we go. Now if I want to refine it, I can go in with my eraser tool and I can take away the edges. Right where I think they should go. Like around his head, and get rid of the bricks that are going at the wrong angle. But again, we're not trying to make it perfect. We'll be learning how to do all of that in later assignments. Right now, we just want a passable composite of 3 bodies in focus, jumping. Using my history to go back steps that I decide aren't the best. Maybe I'll move the head down a little bit. It's its own layer. I can nudge it down. And then I can erase it away so it looks like this collar is connected somehow. There we go. Get that seam in there. All right, so now we have just some adjustment issues. This lighting and this lighting match, but then this background doesn't. So what I can do is now select this background layer, and I want to make the bricks just as bright as here. And I do that under Image Adjustment. And the first one we'll always use is levels, though it's not going to be that necessary here. But you see how the highlights are a little bit brighter in these, and we saw that in the histogram. I can take the midtones and I can brighten them slightly, like so. The shadows are a little bit deeper in this camera's exposure, so I can take the shadows and deepen them a little bit, like so. So now I can see more texture in the pants. I can even take the highlights, like the whites on the brick, and goose those a little bit as well. And I'm just kind of squeezing in. This is called optimizing the histogram. So I'm sure to go from a solid white to a solid black. Okay? And that made a difference from this to this in levels. The next adjustment, and these are called direct image adjustments because we're affecting the pixels within the layer directly. We're not doing it with a filtered layer. So I go to image adjustment. Now I'm going to play with the intensity of the color, the hue saturation. And this is where the two cameras were really quite different. If I take that saturation up, you'll see that the intensity of that red becomes a lot closer. And then I hit say OK. And then the one other adjustment is the Canon camera that took these two exposures is a little bit yellow in its processing of color compared to my Nikon. So I'm going to go to Image Adjustments, Color Balance. And these are my three favorite things to use. Levels, hue saturation, color balance. And we're going to get a lot of practice in our first assignments with them. And now I'm going to shift the midtones just a little bit to yellow. And you can see how that matches now perfectly. Big difference in that background processing. That was with nothing, that was with levels, that was with hue saturation, that was with color balance. All to get it so it feels like it matches. Okay, now to finish it off, I don't need all of this extra space, so I'm going to crop it by using the cropping tool right there. When you use the cropping tool, make sure that all of the windows in the preferences above are empty. Otherwise, it won't do what you tell it to do. And I'm going to crop a little bit closer. You want to see the whole body. You want to see the feet off the ground. And then hit return. And now I'm going to save it. Save it with my name. This is Carl Fry, Jumping Exquisite Corpse Demo, Fall 2015, as a PSD. So it's got all the layers in it. And now I'm ready to save as and flatten it into a JPEG. And that JPEG, just to make it easy, I'm going to save it to the desktop. Hit Command D to navigate to the desktop. Hit save. I want to make sure that it's no more than 5 megabytes. So even at 12 quality, if you think of a compression format like rounding numbers, the quality is how many zeros does it remember? Like how deep in the decimal points does it round? And the higher the quality, the deeper it goes, the more it will remember, but it takes up more memory. So I say OK. I can hit F11 before I close it to make sure I know where my JPEG went onto the desktop, and then I can close it, or at least minimize it for now. Then I open up PhotoBucket. I go to the Jumping Exquisite Corpse exercise under the library, and I can either click to upload or I can just drag and drop from my desktop my photo. We have some nice examples already. And then the last step you have to do is click on it and then put your name. And that is how you submit your projects. All right. It feels like these should come with sound effects. Sweet. Very good. All right. So I'll come around and help you guys do that. Then the last bit of business is just organizing your files. So I have the JPEG there. I like to mark my JPEGs with a certain color to show that that's my online format. That's optional for you. But then I'm going to go to my exercises folder, to my Jumping Exquisite Corpse folder. My Photoshop file has been saved and is green. So here is my JPEG. I slip it in. So those are the two files that were necessary for me. Just like I did with my double portrait exposure, this is the one I'm using, so I'm going to mark that with a green. And if I wanted to upload that to PhotoBucket, even though we just did it on the very first day, it's good to kind of remind yourself of what you've done. You go to Library, go to Exercise 1, under Exercises for beginning photo students, double exposures, and I can put that right in. So we have two types of online file formats. This one is a PNG, and the other is a JPEG. PNGs support transparency, so they're usually used for icons. JPEGs don't support transparency, but you're able to adjust the quality to make it the size of memory you want. PNGs, you're just stuck with the amount of memory they take. All right. That is it. Now at this point, because we're going to start assignments within your photo folder for the semester, I would create an assignments folder. And that's different than your exercises, which are just pass-fail. Your assignments you're really trying to cultivate and make into the best portfolio you can by the end of the semester. And the first assignment we're going to work on is our contrast assignment.